Get to Work is still a banger. This was the first expansion released for Sims 4 way back in 2015. This added active careers, which brought a whole new level of gameplay to Sims 4. Instead of going off to a rabbit hole, we can finally go to work with our Sims and take charge of their performance. Even though this pack came out nearly a decade ago, it still stands out to me as one of the best expansions that we have in Sims 4. So let's jump in and see what makes this pack such a banger. Before I start, let me know what your favorite thing about Get to Work is down in the comments. The doctor career allows you to treat and diagnose patients who come in with a variety of different illnesses. As you're starting out, you'll mostly do low-level work such as feeding patients and making the beds. But at higher levels, you'll actually start to diagnose patients and perform surgeries. When I first bought Get to Work, this was actually the career that I played through the most, and it's still probably the one that I had the most time in. It can get a little repetitive at times because you're doing the same thing with every single patient, but it's up to you. The next active career that we had in Get to Work is the Scientist. This is actually my least played career, and you guys will see why shortly. With the Scientist career, your sim will now have breakthroughs, which are basically ideas for a new invention. There are actually some really cool inventions here, such as the Sim Ray, the cloning machine. There's a satellite dish that can be used to change the mood of townies. How about the wormhole generator that lets you travel to a whole secret world? What? Inventions are really cool, but the gameplay to unlock them is a little bit too repetitive for my liking. Where the doctor career has you interacting with other sims, the scientist career has you interacting mostly with objects, which for me is just a little boring. This really reminds me of the inventing skill from Sims 3, and it's a shame that we didn't get detonation this time around. If you like the uses behind these inventions, then this can really be an awesome career for you, but I never really found use for them, so I rarely find myself coming back to play through the scientist career. Finally, and perhaps my favorite, is the detective. This was actually one that I never got to play until recently because for some reason this was always bugged for me on console. With this career, you get to visit crime scenes, go on patrol, collect and analyze evidence, and even arrest suspects. When building a case, you'll start off by analyzing evidence at crime scenes to find any clues about who could have committed the crime. The more clues you add to the board, the more information you'll start to see. Each clue tells you something about the suspect, which is going to be helpful when arresting them. But I'm not sure how helpful this really is because when I go to arrest the suspect, they're usually the only one on the lot. But that's besides the point. Not only does gathering evidence help you build your case, it's also easy access for my sim who loves to steal panties. I'm just gonna go collect some evidence over here. This career also gets crazy if you play with base metal drugs. You can use your authority for good, or you can join the dark side. Interrogation is hands down one of my favorite features from this career. After arresting a suspect, you have to interrogate them to get them to confess.
Now listen to me, little bitch. I want to ask you some real simple questions and I want some real simple answers.
You could play good cop, bad cop, or you could just hit them with straight evidence. I really love playing around with the good cop and bad cop interactions. It's so funny getting a confession after promising a sim a candy bar. My only minor critique for this career, and it can also go for the others, is that the build items are kind of useless unless you're building something really specific. In this case, unless you're building a prison, you really have no use for these items. Like, what am I gonna do with a jail door, bro? Nonetheless, this career is so much fun, and in my opinion, that's because it's so engaging. This is the only career in this pack that lets you visit other lots on the workday, and you can do so many different things to boost your performance. It never really feels like I'm doing the same thing every day, which can sometimes happen with the other careers. These three professions alone add a ton of gameplay, but with this pack, we also receive the retail system, which allows us to open our very own stores. Not only can you sell crafted items, but you can also sell most of the items that are available in buy mode. Customers are going to come in, but they won't always be ready to buy. That's because you have to answer their questions and sweet talk them a bit before they're going to be ready to give you their simoleons, as indicated by the little bar above their head. Retail employees can be a big help with this, as you can tell them to answer questions, restock, or ring up customers. You'll most likely start out with very low profits when you open your store, but as you start to unlock new perks, increase your store's curb appeal, and purchase advertising, you're going to attract tons of new customers. You can dress mannequins for your clothing store, or use the all-new baking skill to open a bakery as you sell donuts, cakes, and other foods that are making me hungry right now. As a side note, I recently opened my first bakery and the profits are looking shiesty. I really love the retail system, and it's one of the very few things that you cannot do in Sims 3. Most of the time I get so wrapped up in my businesses that I just have my Sims live in the store. They could have easily stopped with the 3 new active careers, but I'm really glad that we got the retail system in this expansion. Just imagine if this was split off into a game pack. Ooh, my only major complaint about Get to Work is the neighborhood. Magnolia Promenade is buns. This came with only 4 lots, making it quite possibly the smallest neighborhood in Sims 4. Wow. Get to Work was the first expansion release for Sims 4, and they really hit the ground running. Gosh, where did it go wrong? While it doesn't provide as much content as Sims 3 Ambitions, it still stands out as one of the best Sims 4 expansions to date, even more if you have mods. With 15 expansions currently out for Sims 4, I recently realized that only about 3 or 4 of them are truly must-haves, and Get to Work is on that list, at least for me. Thanks for watching. You should check out my other videos. I'm Jacoby Plays. I'll see you guys later.